Thank you. Please be seated. Honorable Moses Nagamutu, Vice President and Prime Minister of Guyana. Honorable Dr. Barton Scotland, Speaker of the National Assembly. Honorable Rondalee Braffett-Knowles, Attorney General, Turks and Caicos Islands. Honorable Basil Williams, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs of Guyana. Members of the Diplomatic Corps, Ministers of Government, Honorable Attorneys General and Ministers of Justice from participating states, ladies and gentlemen, the Cooperative Republic of Guyana commemorated on the 6th of October the slaughter of 11 innocent citizens in 1976 in what, up to that time, was the worst incident of international terrorism in the Western Hemisphere. Guyanese citizens were killed when two terrorist bombs exploded on board the Cubana de Aviación flight CU-455 just off the coast of Barbados. The flight, originating in Guyana, proceeded to Trinidad and Tobago, and then to Barbados, and would have been en route to Jamaica before its scheduled final stop in Cuba. A truly Caribbean crime. Ladies and gentlemen, Guyanese know about terrorism. The Caribbean commemorated 6 days later on the 12th of October, that is last month, the 525th anniversary of European arrival on an island in the Bahamas, right here in the Caribbean, in 1492. Unregistered immigrants. The trickle of European interlopers turned into a torrent, and the region in succeeding centuries experienced the establishment of American, British, Danish, Dutch, French, German, Spanish, Swedish colonies and territories. These visitors made the Caribbean the most balkanized region on earth. The Caribbean became known as the cockpit of Europe, a theater of European conquest and conflict. Warfare between European states was waged in the Caribbean, invariably and vicariously, not only by regular armies and navies, but by irregular bands of buccaneers, corsairs, pirates, and privateers. The Caribbean today is fighting a war against financial privateers. It is fighting to preserve the integrity of its institutions and to counter money laundering and the financing of terrorism. Guyana is part of that fight. Guyana is fit to fight. Guyana embarked on the path of passing robust regulations and legislation to protect its financial system from unlawful activities 17 years ago. It passed the Money Laundering Prevention Act in 2000, the Anti-Money Laundering and the Countering of Financing of Terrorism Act in 2009, the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering of Financing of Terrorism Amendment Act in 2010, the Anti-Money Laundering and the Countering the Financing of Terrorism Amendment Act 2015, and the Anti-Money Laundering and the Countering of the Financing of Terrorism Amendment Act No. 2 in 2015. This legislation progressively has corrected the deficiencies in the anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism regime, and allowed for the improvement of compliance with the task force's standards. Ladies and gentlemen, the appropriate agencies, the Bank of Guyana, the Financial Intelligence Unit, and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution have been empowered with the authority and autonomy and have been equipped with the technical and institutional means to discharge their functions under our anti-money laundering and the countering of the financing of terrorism legislation. The Caribbean, after half a millennium of conquest, conflict, and chaos, yearns to be a zone of concord and peace. Located within the main sea lanes which can be used for narcotics trafficking between the North and South American continents, and given its fragmented jurisdictions, scattered over 2,754,000 square kilometers of sea space, with countless cays, coves, and islets. The Caribbean has become an attractive destination, a paradise, I think that's the word used nowadays, for money launderers, tax evaders, and assorted transnational criminal cartels. But these crimes have the potential of disrupting our paradise, disrupting our economies, of corrupting officials, of subverting our institutions, of perverting our youth, and of spawning frightening levels of crime and violence in society. Ladies and gentlemen, your task force's recommendations are necessary to insulate the region's financial sector from the crimes of money laundering and the financing of terrorism. Your task force's recommendations can help to insulate the region's economies from contamination by dirty money and by protecting the integrity of our financial sector from the risks associated with ill-gotten gains. Your task force's recommendations will help also to cultivate a stable financial sector that will allow for the facilitation of international trade and investment, and that will enhance the interconnectedness between the region's financial sector and the global banking system in order to prevent our banks from being blacklisted. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cooperative Republic of Guyana is honored to host this 46th plenary meeting of the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. We wish you, the visiting delegates, fruitful deliberations and a pleasant sojourn in our country. The presence of so many distinguished ministers, attorneys general, and officers at this meeting is evidence of the importance that Caribbean governments attach to the task force's core responsibilities for the peer review process of the mutual evaluation program. The work to be done during this meeting is a necessity for guaranteeing the integrity of the region's financial sector, and particularly for preventing money laundering and the financing of terrorism. We are confident that the task force's work will improve the security and prosperity of the region, and, of course, the safety and happiness of our people. I thank you.